Good evening and welcome to Space Oddities. Hope you're all well. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Andy, and we're a little, again, thin on the ground tonight. Our very best wishes to those Space Oddities who are unwell at the moment. Best wishes to Daz, best wishes to Kareem. Lou will be joining us a little later, he says. So tonight, initially at least, we've got Michael in Worcester. We've got Roger in Somerset. We've got Mary and we've got Rachel. How are you, lovely people? Raring to go again.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
And Mary, you've been especially lucky because you've been out taking some glorious photos of the aurora, which of course I'm intensely jealous about because here in Spain I'm not likely to see any. Not likely to see any aurora. Not impossible, but highly unlikely that I'll get to see aurora. I've never seen one in my life, and I'm going to have to travel. So how were the aurora? They look stunning.
It was amazing. It was actually 9 years ago tonight was the first time I photographed aurora from the UK, and that was when I first moved here to Oxford. And I never thought I'd see it from down here, but I've now photographed it 16 times, seen it visually 4 or 5, could see it clearly last night. It was great. Not much sleep, thousands of photos, but worth it.
Oh, for goodness sake. I'm so jealous.
I remember the first time I saw the aurora in all its glory. I was at an astronomy observing night in Yorkshire. The Amateur Astronomy Centre, some of you might know that. And that was, I think it was 1987. We had a really big show with the aurora, and I just stood there. I only had I had a 35mm camera with me then before digital, of course, and all I wanted to do was just watch it. It was just brilliant.
Yeah, we did an aurora flight a few years ago, and I just didn't try to take pictures. I just wanted to watch. So
yeah, we did an aurora flight as well with Pete Lawrence, and we weren't so lucky on that either. So
yeah, well, the first time I did an aurora flight, we were the first of only 2 flights in its entire history that saw nothing.
Right.
So second time I was lucky.
Mine was the other
one. Yeah. So, there are 2 things astronomically in my life that I've never seen that I want to. One of them is the aurora, and the other one is a total eclipse of the sun. Well, I was in Falmouth for the 1999 eclipse, but we don't talk about that. No. So, of course, here in Spain, we've got one coming up in 2026, which was going to the path of totalities, going to cut through the lovely Spanish city of Valencia. So if you're planning your holidays for 2026, then you might consider Spain. There'll be another one from Spain, funnily enough, a year later, both in August. In 2027, there's another one which just clips the very southern tip of Spain, sort of Cadiz and Gibraltar and along there. So we're very lucky in Spain. We've got 2 total solar eclipses coming up. And in August in Spain, you're fairly guaranteed a clear sky. Mind you, we said that about Falmouth, and look what happened. So anyway, but there is a major aurora alert for the UK, for the whole of the British Isles at the moment. And people have been out looking at the aurora. There's been massive solar activity, which has caused the aurora. The colours in some of the photographs I saw, they were just unreal. They really were pinks and reds and extremely lovely. So if you've got clear skies there, wherever you are, go out and look to the north tonight, and a bit later, I should think, in the evening. Go out and look, and you might just catch the aurora. If you do catch the aurora and you manage to photograph it, send it into Rachel's gallery. We'd love to see it. And let's see if we get any replies from that. So anyway, on a packed program this evening, we are going to be announcing the results of our February competition. One lucky person is going to win the Collins Stargazers book, which is a beginner's guide to astronomy, and a Collins planisphere to find your way around the night sky on any night and hour of the year. Both lovely prizes to win in the competition. We're going to be having a draw for those lately, and we're going to be asking one of our viewers to pull the number out of the hat, as it were, so that one of you chooses the winner, which we thought would be great. So we've got that coming up towards the end of the program. And of course, we've got our regular spots, and we're going to go over to one of those right now. And here's a man who, not to put too fine a point upon it, knows his way around the back end of a camera, because Roger's been out again doing the most marvellous moon photographs and other things, one of which is behind him at the moment. So, Roger.
Behind me.
Yes. So, Roger, would you be so kind as to give us our normal weekly guide to the night sky, please?
Well, I've got rather a lot on this week, but we'll be getting through that at some pace. Right, okay, so here we go for the 27th and into the start of March. Okay. Of course, at the end of March, we'll be putting the clocks forward, won't we? No, spring back.
Oh, God, that's time to come again, but it means spring's here, Roger.
So we've got the first quarter tonight, heading towards a full moon to the latter part of next week. So beware of that. Get your narrow band filters out for that. And we have got some sunspot activity. And the reason that we've got this aurora activity is due to that group that you see in the top center of the sun.
Is that it?
That is the cause of all these auroral activities.
But that doesn't look as big as the one we had a couple of weeks ago.
No, but it's obviously much more
active.
Perhaps it's more concentrated and giving out more activity. Kevin Earp, who's on the watchers tonight, will probably have some explanation of that. But there's a close-up view of that group, which is causing all the excitement during last night and hopefully again tonight. And here's the start of my pictures. This was one from yesterday, and this is obviously during the daytime. And then I thought, oh, I'll see if I can see how it is at nighttime. And here we are. And we've got a bit of mineralization on the imaging as well, which obviously you can't do in the daytime.
That's beautiful. Any idea what minerals we're looking at there?
Well, I believe that the blue coloration is part of titanium, and then there are some browny colors which are part of the iron. But there are other minerals amongst those as well, so it's not exclusively those two minerals, but that constitutes a proportion of those colors in the moon that you would have to process out because they're not visible to the naked eye.
Wow. All those minerals just laying there waiting to be picked up here.
Yes. This is a closer up view from last night, because in the next slide, that's where the Apollo 11 landing site was. And if I could zoom in much more, there is a crater to each of the 3 astronauts of the Apollo 11 crew.
Right.
So there we go.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
And this was the moon as it was at 7:30 this evening. And you can just about see the lunar V appearing.
Oh yes, just about, I see.
Just above, and the lunar X, which has become a bit more apparent further on down. I haven't actually labeled them because I didn't have time. But it's about a third of the way up. It's just the way the shadows fall on out of 4 different craters, how it gives you the impression of a letter X there.
That's really good.
And something which is not the moon, which is part of Macarian's chain, which is all now partly appearing now in the summer constellations of Virgo and Leo. So
that's a fantastic image.
I thought I'd do a quick capture, and the next slide I've got labelled up as some of the objects that are there. I thought the one down on the bottom, IC3355, was something funny on the lens, but apparently it's a irregular galaxy, so that was good.
You captured that well. That's really irregular, isn't it?
It's almost part of the James Webb lensing effect there. We've still got Comet ZTF still about. It is disappearing now. It's getting almost into over magnitude 10 now, and it's past the bow of Orion and heading further on down south. That's Eridanus, is it? Down below? I can't remember. Anyway, it's getting further down. So those in the southern hemisphere will be getting the benefit of a very faint comet. Now, we have got the conjunction of Venus and Jupiter, which is at its closest at 5:05 on the morning of the 2nd of March. Although it will become closer and closer all through this week. And if you have a look through each night, you can see how quickly they are appearing closer in the sky. And this gives you a rough guide of how quickly Venus overtakes Jupiter in the night sky. And I shall just do a demonstration. These are all at 6 o'clock in the evening. This is how it was tonight and tomorrow. And then on the 1st, as you can see, it's almost, and the 2nd. So even though they are moving apart, they're still seen fairly close with the naked eye through most of the week. So any opportunities is an opportunity to get these while they are in close vicinity to each other. So moving on. We've got, as of tonight, we've got the moon getting near to Mars again in Taurus, and the setting of Orion with Leo, Cancer and Virgo now coming up through to take over their majesty of all the galaxies. So galaxy hunters are rubbing their hands with glee, probably. And as you can see, we've got the comet rapidly descending down below the level of Orion. So goodbye to that, and see what happens later in the year. So we've got just this image of M92 with the James Webb. The reason that there's a gap in between is because the CC sensors didn't quite overlap enough to get the whole of the image. But then it would have been a very bright core of that picture anyway. So that's probably one of the reasons why they probably did that as well. But it gives you how many lovely tiny stars that there are amongst all those images there of M92. Goodness, what it would have been like with M13, but there we go. And here's just a closer up view of one half of that cluster with a scale on the bottom there. And that is my presentation for this evening.
Thank you very much, Roger. Beautiful images, as always. There's been a bit of, well, not exactly shock, but a great surprise with the James Webb that it's taken an image of 6 galaxies that were originally imaged in July, but it's taken this long to confirm their age and their distance. And these are galaxies that are really far more developed than they should be for their age. And, you know, this is no surprise. You probably read things in the media like James Webb has disproved Big Bang Theory and all this utter nonsense. And the fact is that all it means is that our theories of how fast galaxies evolve and develop and change will have to be revised as a result of the James Webb. But we knew that we might have to do this, and it was one of the goals of Webb to do this, to investigate the formation of galaxies. And now we realize that our theories are not wrong in any sense, they're just incomplete. We now have more data to work with and refine those theories. And guess what? That's how science works. So don't believe what you read in the media that's going around at the moment about, you know, astronomers and cosmologists being wrong about the early universe. We're not wrong. We just didn't have all the information. Now we have more information. The theories can be revised and tested against further information. And that's how it all works. That's how science works. So there we are. So thank you again, Roger. Really, I'm sure everybody out there will join with me in saying how much we enjoy your weekly guide to the night sky, and I'm sure you'll give us some more fascinating stuff next week. Now, just one thing that you viewers might be able to help us with. I hope you will. Now, we had a little bit of a meeting at Space Oddities yesterday to go over some, data about our viewers and where they are and how long they watch for, all this sort of stuff. But the problem we have is that YouTube doesn't give us information that's granular enough to understand what's fully going on. It's sort of more of a helicopter view than real specific stuff. So one of the questions that came up is how people watch Space Oddities, on what type of device. So if you could help us out with this, because we've got some ideas about what's going on, but we'd like to sort of confirm them. What we'd like to know from you is, what type of device do you normally watch Space Oddities on? Is it on a mobile? Is it on a PC, a tablet, a TV, or anything else? Can't think what else it might be, but anyway, I'm sure they're out there. So would you like to, please, if you would, viewers, put in the chat what type of device you watch us on, and that will help us, because we've got some not contradictory information from YouTube, but information that's surprising us a little bit. We'd just like to confirm a few ideas. So if you could, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Derek. And we've got some interesting ones here. So far they've all been computers. Jerry's watching on an iPad. So desktop PC from Stuart. Stan's watching on a MacBook. We've got an iPad, a laptop. Thank you, David. Hope you're well. Hope you're recovering from your injuries. PC from Paul. Anybody else want to put anything in there? Right, Graham's watching on TV with it on an iPad as well. So you see the chat. Good thinking, Graham. Good thinking. And it doesn't look like anybody's actually watching on a mobile phone, which sort of confirms what we were thinking. We're glad you're not watching on a mobile phone, because if you're watching on a mobile phone, you're really not getting the best out of us, because you won't be able to see things like Roger's glorious sky maps on a mobile phone. They'll be too small. And there we are. So thank you for all doing that. That's sort of confirming what we thought, and we're going to be able to tie that up with a few other things now. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on. I've just got, just give me 1 second. We've got a society event coming up, and that society event is the annual free public lecture at the Wolverhampton Astronomical Society. And this is being given by Andrew Lound of Odyssey Productions. And the title of the lecture is Space, the Fuel Cell Frontier, the story of the hydrogen cell from discovery to future prospects. That's coming up on this Monday, the 6th of March at 7:30 p.m. UK time at the University of Wolverhampton, which is in the Wulfruna building, Wulfruna Street, Wolverhampton. You need a free ticket for it, which you can get from Eventbrite, the online ticket supplier. And there's a QR code there that you can scan. So I'll just leave this up for just a little while longer to allow you time to get your phones out and scan the code. If you don't manage to scan the code and you'd like to go to the Wolverhampton AS annual free lecture, then you can find out all about it at the Wolverhampton Astronomical Society website, which is wolvas.org.uk. That's WOLVAS, that's Wolverhampton AS, .org.uk. And there you are. I'll just leave that up for a bit longer to so we'll have a look and see who wants to go. If you want to go, then we will just leave that up there for a bit longer. And perhaps I'm just going to put that address in the chat. There we are. It's wolvest.org.uk. And there we are. So I think we'll just get rid of that now and move on to something else. Now, we were having a chat yesterday. As you may know, we offer you the live coverage of significant space launches here on Space Oddities, and we enjoy doing the live coverage. And we think that our viewers like us to do the live coverage as well. The live coverage that we do is certainly very popular. We get a good number of views when we do live coverages, especially of SpaceX stuff, which is, SpaceX are immensely popular on the internet. So what we thought we'd do is to show you what we've got coming up this year in terms of the space launches that we here at Space Oddities will hope to cover live. And we start on March the 8th and we go through to October, I think. Now, just before I start reeling these off, it needs to be said, of course, that all of these dates are subject to change. It also needs to be said that if we can cover it, we will. If the launch happens at, say, 3 or 4 in the morning, we might not do it live. So please bear with us, and we just hope that we can cover them all. But our ambition is to cover all of these events if we can. And there's some great space launches coming up this year. So we start with March the 8th with the launch of Terran 1. This is a company called Relativity Space, and it's the inaugural flight of their rocket called Terran 1. And that will be interesting to watch. We've got the Starship orbital test flight that everybody's been waiting for well over a year now. It's been mooted. So they're a bit behind, but the first attempt to get that rocket into orbit, the biggest and most powerful rocket ever built, is happening sometime in March. It did briefly pop up in a NASA calendar as the 11th of March, but was quickly removed again. We think that sometime in March, SpaceX will attempt to launch the Starship for the first time. That will probably be the most exciting launch of the year because, as I said, it's the most powerful rocket ever built. Nobody knows quite what's going to happen. So stick with us for that. We will give you more information nearer the time as soon as we have a definite date. The trouble is with SpaceX, they don't often give you definite dates until very near the occasion. Then, of course, we've got another inaugural flight coming up in sometime in the first quarter, the launch of the Vulcan Center, ULA's Vulcan Center, brand new rocket, and it will be launching the Peregrine lander to the moon, which carries about a dozen scientific experiments. One of those scientific experiments is going to be Britain's first moon rover. Yes, Britain is putting a rover on the moon. I bet you haven't seen that in the Daily Mail. And as far as I can see, the British media haven't covered it at all. But Britain is putting a rover on the moon. It's launching on Peregrine, which has been launched by the Vulcan Centaur. And that rover is revolutionary. It's got 6 jointed legs, so it'll actually walk about a bit like an insect over the surface of the moon. So that will be a really exciting launch. That's coming up first quarter. In April, we've got the launch of the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, the European Space Agency's probe to the moons of Jupiter. We're very excited about that. That, of course, being Europe, is launching on an Ariane 5 from French Guiana. That's actually penciled in for April the 13th. Also in April, we've got the Starliner crew flight test. The Boeing Starliner, which has had a disastrous record of trying to ferry astronauts to the space station so far. And after one completely failed launch and another one which had a lot of problems. But this will be the first one that will actually be carrying people. So I just hope they've got a lot of life insurance. That's all I can say. And the two astronauts concerned, Butch Wilmore, which I think is a fantastic name for an astronaut, and Suni Williams, they are going to be flying. He and she will be flying on that first test of the Boeing Starliner. And for their sake, I hope it goes well. So we must be thinking of them. But that's sometime in April. In July, we've got the launch of Polaris Dawn. This is the second flight by Jared Isaacman. You may remember he made the first flight a little while ago to raise money for a famous children's cancer hospital in the States. And he raised millions for that cancer hospital, which was fantastic. But this is part of a long-term plan to build their own space station initially as part of the International Space Station. It will be built onto it, and then it will separate to be a space station in its own right. On this mission, they'll be doing a spacewalk with one of SpaceX's new spacesuits. And it's a very exciting mission. And there's a lot of science that they're doing on this mission. They're doing research into a range of illnesses. They're doing research into some of the things that affect astronauts, like problems with the eyes and so on. A lot of exciting stuff. If you just Google on Polaris Dawn, you'll find the website immediately. Have a read through that, because it's going to be a fascinating mission. And that's due to launch in July. Third quarter, we've got the launch of Euclid. It's a European Space Agency telescope which is going to investigate the dark universe, that is to say dark energy and dark matter. It's an observatory specifically designed for that. And it's going to make a 3D map of the universe by observing billions of galaxies out to 10 billion light years away across more than a third of the sky. A really exciting telescope from the European Space Agency sometime in the third quarter. Euclid is an amazing project, and again, you can Google that. If you Google Euclid ESA for the European Space Agency, you'll find out lots more about that. And then in August, we've got the launch of Dream Chaser, this revolutionary space plane by Sierra Space, and it's its first launch on top of a Vulcan Centaur, the new rocket from ULA. And it's a revolutionary space plane that will take off on top of a rocket but land much like the shuttle did, but under power, like a jet, on any runway in the world. And they're in negotiation with Spaceport Cornwall to make that one of their landing sites, because it can land anywhere in the world. Very exciting plans for Dream Chaser if it works, which I'm pretty sure it will. And it's going to be doing a lot of missions, building space stations and so on. And then lastly, in October, on October the 10th, we've got the launch of the Psyche mission to that weird asteroid that is, we think, the metallic core of an ancient planetoid that didn't quite grow into a planetoid. And it's full of minerals whose value exceeds the world's economy, believe it or not. And this mission has been greatly delayed, but hopefully it will launch on October the 10th, finally, on top the SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket, and it will get to the asteroid in 2029. The photographs from that should be absolutely unbelievable. So there we are. So that's those are the launches that we hope to cover live this year. As I said, dates will obviously be subject to change, and also it depends what time of the night that they're launching. But if it's an important one, we will try and bring it to you, and we will do our very best to do that. Okay. Any thoughts about any of those missions, guys? Oh, Michael's back. Thought you'd gone then. Michael, what are you most looking forward to seeing?
Back on again. Dream Chaser, definitely.
Yeah.
And also the Euclid launch. Interesting as well. And the Polaris Dawn. Definitely.
I think there are so many great launches happening this year. It's going to be an amazing year for space. What do you think, Mary? Anything there takes your fancy, so to speak?
I like all of it, but this robot going to the moon from the UK, I knew nothing about that at all. Yeah. Sounds awesome.
Not a lot of people do know anything about it, Mary. And I didn't realise it was. Is it that right? It's a walking robot.
Yes, that's right. It's got jointed legs, so it'll walk about the surface on jointed legs.
Yeah.
And they think a good use for it will be investigating lava tubes as possible sites for future moon colonies, which would be the best place to put them because it's well away from the sun's radiation, of course. Just talk amongst yourself. I'm just going to see if I can find a photo of it, actually.
Yeah.
I imagine it's going to look quite eerie, isn't it? Because whenever you see kind of robotic things walking around with limbs, they kind of look quite sinister.
Yeah.
It's amazing technology, but they look quite sinister.
It's been done in science fiction for years, hasn't it? Walking robots, walking machines like that. And what was those big machines called in Star Wars? I can't remember what they were called.
The ACAX.
That I think that the constellation Lyra looks like an AT-AT more than a heart.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. Just have a look at this. Let me just turn this on. You'll see a photo of it on. Look, there it is.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, that looks like a spider.
And of course, like a lot of space stuff, that was delayed from last year as well.
That's right, and that's from a company, UK company called SpaceBit, and it looks great. And you can see the solar panels on the top, cameras on the front.
And what sort of size is it, Andy? Is it like a shoebox type thing again?
No, it's actually 25 meters tall, Michael.
Oh. Very good.
Yeah.
I think that's too tall for Peregrine, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. I'll look it up for you. I'll let you know before the end of the program. But I think it looks very British, actually. But
and I think it's sad that it's not being promoted as much because for British science and technology. And and why not? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what I want to know is why there's not a huge Union flag across it. It would look great in red, white, and blue.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I'll have some of that.
Literally flying the flag,
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be fantastic. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you that because that's really interesting.
So we had a question about why legs are better than wheels. That'd be an interesting thing to just quickly touch on.
Basically, I think the legs will enable it to get to more places. With wheels, you've always got a risk of bumping into a rock or something and perhaps overturning. With jointed legs, I think it just gives you greater access to more types of terrain, basically. And as I said, one of the things they do want it to go is to go underground, where the surface might be a bit rough and not really suitable for wheels. That's what I'm thinking, anyway. I mean,
the lunar surface is quite dusty as well, isn't it? Wheels can
that's true.
Get choked up in the powdery stuff.
As we saw with the lunar rovers on the Apollo.
Yes, they threw up fountains of dust.
Yeah.
So that's another good reason. I hadn't thought of that. Thanks, Mary. Yeah. So just there won't be any or very little dust thrown up. So that's British, and that's going to the moon.
The actual lunar rover is called Azagumu.
Yes, that's right. Which means, if I remember rightly, I think it means morning clouds in Japanese. Because I think this is partly funded by a Japanese company.
Right, and it's going to explore the lunar lava tubes.
Yes, that's right. And if they find a lava tube, I think they're going to try and put the rover down inside it. Wouldn't it be amazing to see the inside of a lava tube on the moon? That would make my year, to be quite honest. But then I'm really pleased. So there we are. Okay, so there we have the missions that we hope to cover this year. As you can see, there is a lot of really interesting space missions coming up this year. What I think we'll do now is we'll move on with the news for this week, because we have got some news to get through. So just give me 1 second, and we will have a look at the news, because there have been some really interesting stories this week. Okay, so what have we got in the news this week? Well, what we've got in the news, the first story is that SpaceX have been selected to launch a mission from NASA. This is the Sphere X astrophysics mission, and it's got a lovely acronym. It's the Spectrophotometer for the History of the Universe, Epoch of Reionization, and ICES Explorer, which they managed to get somehow into Sphere X. Well done, guys. In June 2024. And this is going to study the whole sky in near infrared wavelengths to study the origin of galaxies, stars, and planets. So another win for SpaceX there. That contract's worth nearly $100 million. to launch that. Oh, look at this. SpaceX won another contract to launch NASA's IMAP mission. And this is worth $109 million. And this is IMAP, the Interstellar Mapping and Acceleration Probe mission in October 2025. And this is to study how the sun interacts with interstellar space and how cosmic rays are generated. So this is really good news for SpaceX. 2 big contracts they've won. And then moving on, we've got another story. Blue Origin's new rocket, New Glenn, has been delayed again until late this year. This is a rocket that New Origin had been building forever and has been delayed and delayed and delayed. And they lost a major Pentagon contract last year because of their delays. And they're also blaming COVID as well. And we should remember that Blue Origin, to date, they've been going 22 years and they've yet to put anything into orbit. And New Glenn has never been seen in its entirety. The only thing we've seen in New Glenn is half a fairing and a mock-up of the first stage, not even the real first stage. And yet they say they're going to finish it this year and have its maiden flight. We will see. But they're not exactly SpaceX. Also, on the ISS, 2 astronauts have been, Kate Rubins and Victor Glover, have been out upgrading the lithium-ion batteries on the International Space Station because it now has new solar arrays that they've been fitting. This probably means that the ISS is not going to be as bright in the night sky as it has been, guys, because the new solar arrays are much smaller. But Michael and I did have a discussion. Michael, can you remember if we got to the bottom? Well, they are going to have both sets of solar cells, aren't they? They're not going to.
I believe the new solar arrays are complementing the original ones.
Right. Okay.
That's why the actual power is going to increase.
Right. So it could be brighter in the sky.
I don't think there will be discarding the old arrays. If they're still working, then why not use them in a jointly sort of thing? So
yeah, true. Thank you for that. So it could end up being even brighter in the sky. Let's celebrate. The Perseverance rover has completed 2 years on Mars. I can't believe it's 2 years since the Perseverance rover landed. And as we know, it landed in Jezero Crater, which was once the site of a lot of running water, a lake, although I think the latest results indicate it wasn't a lake that covered the whole crater. It was more pools of water than a complete lake. However, lots of new things on this flight. Of course, the Ingenuity helicopter, this little helicopter, which has been the first aerial vehicle to fly in the skies of another world, was only expected to complete 5 flights before failing, and it's just done its 43rd flight.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. 43 flights.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't amazing that is.
What engineering? I mean, that's just, you just can't take it in. Nobody knew how long it was going to last, but they didn't expect more than 5 flights and 43 flights later.
And just think what we can expect with that technology when is it Firefly goes to Titan?
Oh God, yes, that will be a Dragonfly.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a lot bigger than Ingenuity.
Yeah,
that's the size of a small car.
Yeah,
and to see that flying through the skies of Titan is going to be amazing. But it's going to be a long time yet. It's going to be another decade, basically, isn't it? Until it gets there. So there we are. Also, Perseverance has been extracting rock cores to analyze, placing them in metal tubes and leaving them on the surface like a good litter bug. And these tubes are going to be retrieved by a future mission in a few years' time, maybe even 10 years' time. They're going to be retrieved from the surface of Mars and brought back to Earth for analysis. And there have been lots of surprises coming out of Perseverance. The latest one, which was a few days ago, they found an area where you can definitely see the effects of rippling water very clearly. So there has been running water there. There is no mistaking it. And it's done a lot of really good science. It's found organic molecules. It's found a lot of things. And it's only 2 years into its mission. who knows how long it's going to last, but I'm sure it's got a good few years ahead of it yet. So congratulations, Perseverance and NASA. Astronomers have detected one of these really weird so-called fast radio bursts. And these are bursts of radio energy from deep space that last a few milliseconds. And they found one in a nearby galaxy. When we're talking about nearby galaxy, we're talking about 3 million light years away, which, by my way of thinking, is not particularly nearby. But this galaxy is 3 million light years away. They managed to nail down the location, as you can see in the image. It's within that yellow circle that somebody's drawn. That isn't the FRB, the yellow circle, but that's where it was. The most amazing thing is about this fast radio burst only lasted a few milliseconds, a few thousandths of a second, but it output more energy than the sun does in an entire day. So we're not quite sure what causes FRBs. Some of them repeat, most of them don't. Some repeat in cycles, some even repeat in cycles within cycles. And the suspect that astronomers have narrowed them down to are these incredibly magnetic neutron stars called magnetars. Magnetars are intensely magnetic neutron stars, and we think they're born from stars that were rotating very rapidly towards the end of their lives, and this has left the neutron star after the supernova explosion with incredibly tense magnetic fields. If you got within about 1,000 miles of one of those, it would literally pull the atoms apart in your body, and it wouldn't be a very pleasant way to die. They are apart from black holes, they're probably the most bizarre objects in the universe. But how they generate these phenomenal amounts of energy, nobody really knows. So they're under much investigation at the moment. And there's another one from the Milky Way halo, another FRB from the halo of our own galaxy. And this has enabled astronomers to look through the intervening material to work out how much of it there is and what nature it is. And it's turned out that our galaxy has a lot more sort of regular matter, what we call baryonic matter, the stuff that makes up you, me, planets, rocks, people, whatever. Normal matter, there's far less of that in our galaxy than expected. And this has led them to think that early in the galaxy's life, a lot of it is actually thrown out of the galaxy by activity from the supermassive black hole at the center or other things. So these FRBs are intensely interesting. They are a mystery. One was detected within our own galaxy, and it was traced back to being due to a magnetar. But because some of them had these really complex repeating patterns, it may be that there are different types of object that generate these FRBs. It doesn't just have to be magnetars. So it's an area of intense research at the moment, as you can imagine. And there's been a new discovery of a rapidly growing black hole in one of the most extreme galaxies in the early universe. And using that fantastic ALMA telescope high up on the plains of Chile, the millimeter submillimeter radio telescope, one of the most exquisitely accurate telescopes in the world, what they found is that it was forming stars, this galaxy, at a rate 1,000 times that of the Milky Way. So when galaxies are young, they had this incredible formation rate of stars. Our galaxy only produces 3 or 4 new stars a year, and this one was producing 1,000 a year. And this black hole is thought to be a new type of sort of primordial ancient black hole. It's enshrouded in massive amounts of dust, which means that most of its energy is radiated away in the mid-infrared, and it's also generating a strong bit of material. But to find a black hole that old in a galaxy this old is quite surprising and hasn't really been seen before in that way. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the news for this week. So some really interesting stuff going on there. And they've gone away and left. Michael and Mary have walked out and off. So there we are. Rachel, have you had a good week? Astronomically.
Yes. Well, astronomically, it was cloudy. It was briefly clear yesterday, so we got excited, got the scope set up, pointed it at the moon, and by the time we'd got it focused, it was cloud.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, we apart from anything else, we've had intense cloud the last 3 or 4 days, and it's been cold and windy, and I hate it.
Although we did get a really nice surprise because we had a really gorgeous group of scouts in for the outreach at Doncaster, and they were older. They were about 13, 14 years old, and it was supposed to be 100% cloud, and they showed up, and all night it was clear, so they saw Jupiter and Venus, and we did all the constellations. So it was really nice to actually be able to show them what we're talking about, because it never works that way. So
wow, that was lucky, wasn't it?
that was worth it.
I'm sure they enjoyed it. And how old were they?
They were about 14.
Oh, fantastic. Did you get lots of good questions?
Yeah, they were really good. Do you know what? They asked sort of lots of questions that we're expecting, but they were thinking outside the box for some, and they seemed really, really interested. And I think they've booked another scout trip somewhere really dark in Wales. So they were really excited to apply some of the star hopping they'd learned and things like that. So hopefully we'll get an update after they've been.
Fantastic. Oh, good. That sounds fantastic. Guys, several of you last week were so generous in buying us cups of coffee, for which we thank you. And here's the code again. If you would like to support what we do by buying us some coffee, you just scan the QR code here, and that'll take you to the website where you can give us some money for coffee. We are very grateful, because obviously we have expenses at Space Oddities, and any money you could spare to buy us coffee, because we all love our coffee, it must be said. So anybody would like to scan? I can see a couple of you are busy scanning even as we speak. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for your generosity. We do appreciate it. We really do. It's very kind of you, and especially in these times when nobody's got much money, we do appreciate it. And of course, that will enable us to do bigger and better things, and it'll also cover a lot of the running costs that we have when we do things like competitions and the like. Speaking of which, it's come to that time in the evening where we're going to do the draw for the February competition. Now, as you may know, we offer a prize in a competition. We try to do it every month. These prizes come courtesy of our sponsor, Rother Valley Optics. If you want to buy anything related to any optical equipment, Rother Valley Optics are the guys to speak to. And we thank them very much for their support on Space Oddities and their donation of the prizes for the monthly competition. This week, the prize was the Collins book Stargazer, which is a beginner's guide to astronomy, and a lovely Collins planisphere, so that you can see what's up in the night sky on any night and any time of the year. So what we're going to do, we've got everybody who entered and gave us the correct answer to the question, which was, how long does it take sunlight to reach the Earth from the sun? And we did mean the surface of the sun. And I think everybody got the correct answer, just about. And we thank you for that. And the answer is, of course, we said to the nearest minute. So to the nearest minute, it's 8 minutes, of course. It's actually 8 1/3 minute, or 8 minutes, 20 seconds. But anyway, I think virtually everybody got that right. So we put them all in a virtual hat. And what we'd like to do is to get one of you kind viewers to help us out with this. So, Rachel, I think you had somebody in mind. Who would you like to help us out with this?
Yeah, I said, because he's shown us support, and I don't think he's missed a show other than when he went away once on holiday. So I thought if Chris O'Riordan would like to pick a number between.
Right. Okay. Chris, would you help us out? Let's have a look. Would you like to give us a number between 1 and 28, please?
Ooh, it's tense.
Suspense music.
Here we're going to find out who's won.
Drum roll.
Oh, Ian McIntyre, thank you all so much. Oh, thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rob, it was a pleasure to speak to Rugby School today. I spoke to Rugby School's Astro Club, their after-school Astro Club today. and had a great time, and they were fantastic kids to speak to, and there were lots of great questions about the subject, which was black holes. So thank you for having me. Love to come back and talk to you again in the future. So thank you for the coffee, Rob. Much appreciated. Right. Chris there?
Sorry.
It's Chris in the house.
Is he getting a calculator out?
He just commented not long before that, but he does normally watch. There he is. Oh, he's talking about coffee, but he's not given us a number yet.
Chris O'Riordan, calling Chris O'Riordan. Can you hear us? Please, can you give us a number between 1 and 28?
You have the power, Chris.
Right. No, Ian, that's not a number between 1 and 28.
What about 3.1415926536?
Okay, right. Well, should we ask somebody else to do it? Because Chris doesn't. Perhaps he's got the volume turned down, which is probably the best way to watch this, actually.
It's up to you. I can do the gallery if you want, and then we can come back and see if he's popped it in the chat.
How many do we have time?
There he is, 16. There you go.
16. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for helping us out with that. Okay. So, number 16. Right. I'd like to announce that the winner of our February competition is a gentleman I have actually met once or twice. And that winner is a gentleman in Ireland, Alan Stewart. You have won the February competition. So many congratulations and well done. And we will be getting that prize off to you. But Alan, please, could you email us the normal email address, spaceodditieslive@gmail.com, and give us an address to send the prize to. We will get that off to you as soon as we possibly can. Daz is the administrator for all that. Daz is rather unwell at the moment, so as soon as he's well again, we'll get the prize off to you. But do send an email to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com, the same address you sent your entry to, and we will get the prize off to you as soon as we can. Many thanks to all of you who entered. We had a good response to this month's competition, and we will be doing another prize-winning competition next month with more fabulous prizes. And now I'm going to hand you over to Rachel for our weekly gallery. Did we have a good number of entries this week, Rachel?
Yeah, as always, we've got a really good mix again. So good to see. Although I do have your coffee thing at the bottom, so I don't know if that's going to cover some of the words.
It's gone.
Just to be sure. So starting off with the horse head. Doesn't need any introduction by Andy, and this is one he's wanted to do for a long time. And he's been fascinated with it apparently since he was a child. So he's deliberately avoided imaging it until he felt like he would do it justice. And it was stacked and processed in PixInsight.
Wow.
Doing it justice is an understatement.
So
That is
without colour, it's
incredible.
lovely.
Lovely.
I always think you can see more in monochrome on the horse head.
Yeah,
Just
it's really
personal
nice.
for me. That it's gorgeous. No, like I can't do that without getting horrendous flaring on the stars. So I'm really impressed.
Yeah, the stars are really nice controlled in this one. So thank you, Andy. Then we've got a Pelican Nebula by Jerry, with his usual setup using the L Extreme filter.
Ooh.
I think the two stars above on this one, they really look like little spooky eyes. But it's very interesting.
So pretty.
Lots and lots to like.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It looks like art, doesn't it? It looks like a painting.
Yeah, it almost feels. Yeah, it's got
beautiful.
Some texture to the structure.
It's
hasn't
beautiful.
It?
That's a very unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, very nice.
I love the palette.
And then we've got another one by Jerry, which is the Bubble Nebula. Again, the same setup.
Nice.
Oh, we can see that all right.
Oh, God. That
very
is
good.
Well done.
It's a challenging target, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely is with this one. And it's one I want to go back to, so it's just reminded me of it. So thank you, Jerry. We've got another one by Jerry, which is the Soul Nebula. He's been busy. And again, with the same setup and his Optolong filter.
Wow.
Oh, right. Okay.
Really nice golds.
Ooh.
Very, very nice. And since somebody told me it looks like a baby bear lying on its back, that's all I can see now.
Oh, it does.
Can you see its little
Oh my
mouth
goodness.
and its
Yeah.
eye
Oh,
and
gummy
ears,
bear.
like its little arms in the air?
Yeah.
That's all I can see now is the little baby bear.
I can see that because I don't know what shape a soul is supposed to be, so I'm
True.
happy with bear.
Maybe all of our souls are bears, baby bears. Then we've got another one by Andy, which is the Monkey Head Nebula. He's called this the Eye in the Sky. And he said he's tried to present it in a way that's different to how most people show the monkey head. So,
Ooh.
really nice.
Lovely.
Oh, that is beautiful. God, I'm so jealous of the skills you people have. I really am. Look at that.
I know there's so many talented people that watch. And
Well,
you too, Roger.
we were saying earlier that I was saying to Robert, who's watching, that the quality of the images that amateurs are taking now are rivaling those of big observatories. You know,
Yeah, the skill levels
in quality
definitely.
between the two is narrowing all the time, and I think it's wonderful. So well done, guys. I mean, I'm in awe of your skills. I really am.
Then we've got one by Chris, our number picking connoisseur, the Jellyfish Nebula, a starless version, which is supernova remnant in Gemini. And again, it's a really, really lovely.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
That's kind of creepy, that, isn't it? It's sort of sinister.
yeah, I think it's a really interesting.
It looks a bit like
isn't it?
yeah. Do you know what that reminds me of? Because I'm old. It reminds me of the original Quatermass film when the astronaut turned into the monster after coming back from space. It reminds me a bit of that. If you haven't seen the original Quatermass film, check it out. It's a classic British sci-fi film.
I have no idea what any of that is, but I will look it up.
Yeah.
Starless really makes you look at the nebula differently, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, and I really love
It
like
really
this
does.
the blue film, like enveloping it around that right hand side. It's very
gorgeous.
3D. So
And
thank
we'll
you,
have to
Chris.
remember the scale as well. This is something that is undoubtedly trillions of miles across. You know?
Yeah, he might have put it in. Did he say how far it was across? Maybe. Oh no, it's about 5,000 light years from Earth and about 70 light years across.
70 light years. So that's 70 times 6 billion miles across. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a beautiful image. The Ghost of Cassiopeia. Goodness
Another
me.
one by Chris, which I liked his title for this because I had to shorten it, but it was The Ghost of Cassiopeia, which, funnily enough, is in the constellation Cassiopeia.
Never.
Which has been shaped by radiation from a nearby variable star. And again, this is one I haven't really looked at very often. So when this came up, I really liked this one. It's not something I see that often.
Lovely.
That looks like a hooded figure with its arms outstretched.
Yeah, like he's giving you the "come here" finger. Look,
it's like a hand pointing.
Yes, Dementor from Harry Potter.
Which is cool. So thank you again, Chris. Then we've got one by Kev. We've got the Orion Nebula, which he said is 2 hours integration time and under what he says was murky sky conditions, but it looks very good for murky skies. So well done.
Wow.
Oh gosh, that's beautiful.
I think it's nice because normally the main nebula overpowers it, but actually the Running Man stands out on its own on this one, which it sometimes doesn't. But the Running Man's really prominent in this one.
Yes.
Well, I tell you something. You're not going to believe this. For the first time ever, I can actually see that it's a running man. I can see it in this image. Wow.
See him.
Yeah, I've always seen the shape, but my mind has never managed to make a running man out of it. And I can now. It's very clear that it's a running man. Of course it is.
I can't still see that. I never have been able to.
I don't know if what I'm seeing is the Running Man, but I just see like a little gingerbread man shape.
Yeah, I
It's
get
the Running
gingerbread
Man.
man too.
But in the story, he did a lot of running. It is run as fast as you can. You can't catch
Yep.
me on the gingerbread man, so that maybe so.
But let me just tell you what I see. The bit hanging down to the south, that's one of the legs, and the bit above it is the torso, and then off to the right you've got the other leg. That's how I'm seeing it. I don't know if that's how other people see it. Okay.
I'm turning my head on the side now. I'm not sure. Then we've got another one by Kev. He's done the Tadpole Nebula.
Oh, well
this
done,
is
Kev.
5 hours of exposure. And again, he's using the L-enhanced filter, so it's not a mono image. And he said he spent a long time playing with the colour, but he's still not sure if he's got it right. But I really like it.
I really like it too.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. There's no right or wrong with this. It's your personal preference.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I really like that ball in the middle. So thank you, Kev. And it's not the sun. Because I know we give him lots of gripe for imaging the sun, but when he doesn't, it's still really good too.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got a crescent moon by Sonia. I don't think she's put in here what it was, but she normally does it, I think, with a Google Pixel phone on her Dob. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, Sonia.
I think that's right. I remember seeing this on social media.
Yes, it's definitely Google Pixel. Yes. That's good. Very good,
Oh,
Sonia.
very clear.
Oh, excellent.
Very clear.
So crisp.
Yeah, amazing.
Very clear.
Amazing. Well done, Sonia.
Thank you, Sonia. And I stuck ours in because we have done it this week, but it just made me laugh how similar to the colour and rotation it was to Kev's to say. Obviously, we didn't know each other had done it, but I thought they were really, really similar in rotation and colour. And I put Johnny's name first because everyone says he never gets the credit. So look, by Jonathan Wood and his wife, look, some other girl.
That's brilliant. Well done.
So yeah, here's our version of the Tadpole Nebula.
Hey.
Which
Johnny
did all by himself. I had nothing to do with it.
That's really good.
And that is the end of our gallery this week.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Listen, guys, as I keep saying, sorry, I seem to be sinking in my chair.
He's got to get me some wife points. He's got to be nice to me now.
Can I just say something about those photos?
Yes, please do.
Some of you may know that I'm the editor of the Federation of Astronomical Societies newsletter. If anybody sent in photos tonight would like any of those published in the newsletter, if they'd like to send it in to me, along with their affiliated society details, that'd be good. And I can, showcase them in the newsletter. And if you do that, the email address to send to is newsletter@fedastro.org.uk.
Newsletter@fedastro.org.uk. Thank you, Michael.
Yep.
And also, while we're on the subject of astronomical societies, as ever, if your astronomical society is on an event, you would like us to advertise it, as we did for Wolverhampton this evening, please just send us the details to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. If you know of any astronomy events that you've perhaps seen advertised somewhere, let us know, and we'll be only too happy to publicize them. And that's what we want to do. We did say at the beginning of the year we want to get more involved with astronomical societies, not just in the UK but wherever this year, to help them publicise their events, to help them grow their societies and have fun. So if you know of any astronomical events, either from your society or from anywhere else, and you'd like to advertise them, just send us an email to spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. So there we are. And I think that brings us about to the end of this evening, does it not, guys? Unless anybody's got anything else they want to tell us about.
Yeah.
No? Big thank you to those of you who have bought us coffees tonight. We are overwhelmed with your support. We do appreciate you as an audience. And your kindness is just unbelievable. So
Mary's just said it. We have Aurora from Oxfordshire.
Oh, right. If you're in the UK, there are Aurora to the north. So
Yeah,
get out there and get some photos and send them to Rachel.
I
Rachel,
think
did you
I'm
put
excited.
the details in the chat? Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. So I'm very jealous of all of you in the UK who might get to see some aurora. I'm far too south, but never mind. I'm sure one day I'll see one. So again, because of that sunspot that we, I think Kev said it was a delta sunspot, delta type, which is very active. The one that Roger showed us earlier in his lovely photo. That's causing all the aurorae on the Earth at the moment with its intense magnetic field and whatever. From all of us, not from Mary because she's dashed out to image the aurora, but from all of us, thank you again for your generosity. We do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we will be back same time next week, 8 o'clock UK time on Space Oddities. So to all of you, stay warm, have a fantastic week, and we will see you all soon. Say goodbye, folks.
Goodbye, folks.
Goodbye, folks. Goodbye. See you soon. And thanks for being here. Bye-bye.